Exactly 7 days since its return, hostilities are once again on the cards in club football's most elite competition, the UEFA Champions League. Others have had their nights under the stars. Tonight, it's the turn of 4 clubs carrying the hopes of millions of fans across the globe as they seek to rule Europe by the end of May. Tonight, it's Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea in Bucharest and Lazio versus Bayern Munich in Rome. I bid you welcome to tonight's updates from across the match centres. I'm Onah Kosi, here to talk you through. And to my great pleasure, I'm not alone at your service for the duration. I have the compliments of the point man in sports, Carlo Rakwe, and Dorcas Koki, the sports diva. Well, the Champions League nights are always a big affair, but tonight is a notch or two more special.
Yeah, always special when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. It's some say it's Europe's elite football. In my opinion, it's like the world's biggest footballing event. Some will argue the World Cup supersedes it, but indeed it's something.
Welcome, Miss Koki. Matches to look forward to.
It's always a pleasure to be here with you and Carl this evening to talk about the UEFA Champions League. It's always exciting to be here, just as Carl has stated. And I'm always fascinated to get to see tough matchup between Atletico Madrid and Chelsea, and also Bayern tonight doing it out with Lazio. So it's going to be fun to eventually talk about.
Well, here's how they line up, beginning with our main focus in Bucharest. Atletico Madrid at home, away from home. We'll kick off with a 3-4-2-1 formation. Yano Black in goal, Mario Hermoso, Felipe and Stefan Savic. The back three, Saul Nunez, Thomas Lemar, Koki and Marcos Llorente are in midfield, while further up front you have João Felix and Angel Correa supporting Luis Suarez, who is striking for the Spanish side this evening. Chelsea reply with an identical formation, also with a 3-4-2-1. Mendy the goalkeeper, Rudiger, Christiansen, Aspilicueta the defenders, Alonso, Kovacic, Jorginho and Hudson-Odoi in midfield, Timo Werner, Mason Mount up in support of Olivier Giroud up front. And Dorcas, how is it shaping up at the Stadio Olimpico, where Lazio are taking on Bayern Munich?
It is as expected. If you're going to be playing against Bayern Munich, you would have to make sure that you are defensively astute against the side, and that is how they have lined up today. Inzaghi has lined up a 3-5-2 formation for Lazio, who are hosting Bayern Munich tonight. And for Patrick, is going to be part of the defense. Okay, Brenner is the goalkeeper for Lazio. Patrick, Acerbi, and Musasio are going to be the defenders for Lazio tonight. And in the midfield, they do have Lazari, Milinkovic, and Savic, as well as Lucas Olivia, Luis Alberto, Murusic as well in the midfield, and Immobile and Cora will be the attackers for Lazio. And for Bayern Munich, they line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Monanoya in goal as the usual suspect. Davis, Alaba, Boateng, and Sula will be defenders for Bayern Munich. Musiala and Kimmich will be there as defensive midfield pairing. And midfield will actually be Kingsley Coman, Leon Goretzka, and Leroy Sané. And let's not forget top 9 striker for Bayern Munich will be Robert Lewandowski for the side.
Well, the match officials there in Bucharest are as follows. Felix Birch, who is from Germany, assisted by Matt Bosch and Stefan Lupp, both from Germany. The video assistant referee is Marco Fritz, also from Germany. The fourth official, Christian Dinger, from Germany as well. And we're looking forward to this one. It's in Bucharest, not in Spain. How much of an advantage possibly could Chelsea have going into this one as a result?
Well, it's definitely for Atletico Madrid, home away from home. So for Chelsea, that's an advantage for them. Your opponent is not playing in his own backyard, is not playing in his own stomping ground, a ground that is familiar with. So it's an advantage for Chelsea, in my opinion. But sometimes they'll tell you, a good footballing team, come what may, it doesn't matter where they play. But I would say at least 50% shades it at least 55% in Chelsea's favour. The ground they're playing at tonight.
Interestingly, Thomas Tuchel decides to leave N'Golo Conte on the bench. Doesn't always happen. Today's midfield is the preference, of course, is Jorginho partnering with Mateo Kovacic.
Yeah, I think perhaps it's a tactical one here, even for Diego Simeone, the choice and the formation being played today. So N'Golo Kante, yes, he's had his injury worries this particular season, but we know he's usually supposed to be good for big games like this. So to have Jorginho playing here, Thomas Tuchel must definitely know what he's seen. He hasn't been consistent with his team ever since he came on, basically still trying things out. So maybe perhaps this is still trying something out on the night.
Well, referee Felix Birch has sounded for proceedings to begin over there in Bucharest. Let's head over to Lazio at the Stadio Olimpico. How is he shaping out, Dorcas?
It's already started. It is no more going to be heat attacks for Lazio to try and see what they can do against the Bayern Munich side. And as it is, Bayern Munich have already taken the initiative going forward against this Lazio team, and they're currently will try to see if they can get a quick fire goal against this Lazio side. We will know that sometimes they can also pose as a major threat, scoring goals as well against this Bayern team. But for now, it is Bayern Munich still pressing and trying to see if they can get an early goal.
Well, it is the Sports Gang here with all the updates. We bring you updates minute to minute, second to second, of every of the action going down in the Champions League at the two venues that we are looking at, in Bucharest and in Rome. Let's head straight into update mode. Well, teams in front of them, as it were, our eyes firmly fixed on all, taking time to size each other up. You would identify Atletico Madrid this evening in their red jersey, red and white stripes, and Chelsea in their bright blue. Yes, and Chelsea, it is Chelsea defending on the right and attacking to the left. Atletico Madrid doing the reverse, defending on the left and attacking to the right. And Carl, with your eyes firmly fixed over there in Bucharest, how has it started between Atletico Madrid and the Blues?
Yeah, just an early start, 2 minutes basically into this particular one. And for Atletico Madrid, they're already perhaps trying to do as much damage as they can. Interesting thing, should this one, of course, should Chelsea qualify perhaps for the next round, it will be without Mason Mount. He's already picked up a yellow, showing you how aggressive the game has started. He's picked up a yellow card already during the course of this first 2 minutes. And we've seen Atleti go close with an error from, of course, a mending goal from Chelsea. So it's shaping up to be perhaps a big game tonight.
Well, and we hear it's 2 minutes, a couple of seconds there in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. And Dorcas, how is it shaping up between champions Bayern Munich and host Lazio?
Nothing quite yet, nothing interesting as at this point in time. It is still Bayern Munich trying to press this Lazio side defensively, and they have been trying to hold their own against this Bayern Munich side that can fire any moment from now. They are also not sitting back to relax. When they have the ball, they press and get the ball quickly to their attackers in front of the front two as it stands. But still, it is still goalless and nothing exciting has happened just yet.
Well, quite feisty, as you could see on the touchlines. Coaches gesturing to their players and, yeah, keeping them up to speed and reminding them of what the instructions are. But speaking of Mason Mount, Carl picked up a yellow. How important has he become to this Chelsea side? A lot to talk about him being in the team because he was Frank's favourite, and Thomas Tuchel has arrived, and he still appears to be an integral part of this Chelsea side.
Well, it shows you he's got to be doing something nice. He's got to be doing something good. Yes, the Chelsea fans, they complain a lot about Mason Mount being in the team. They thought Frank, had some special feelings towards the lad, and that's why he continuously made the side. But like he pointed out, Tuchel has also come to the team, and Mason Mount continues to feature. Now, I'll tell you one thing, I love the fellow, I love the lad. He's a workaholic, he puts in effort. He plows away, doesn't sit back, doesn't relax, doesn't have airs around him. Anyway, he's a young man, shouldn't be having airs around him. He does well. He plays for the team. That's what he does, in my opinion. And it's a good player. That talks about him perhaps, getting us a berth to the Euros for England. And I think if he does indeed get that berth to the Euros for England, he would have deserved it. He's done well this season. Also did well last season, in my opinion.
Mason Mount, the man at the centre of the conversation, picked up a yellow card already in their fixture against Atletico Madrid. It's currently 0-0, just as it is over there in Rome. And Dorcas, of course, it's early minutes. Might not be able to tell which way it is swinging at the moment in terms of who has been able to assert themselves more in that tie. But all the same, we're going to have to ask you to describe for us, give us updates on how it's been so far.
Just as you have stated, it's early stages for that match between Lazio and Bayern Munich. And looking at how Bayern Munich have started, they have started like a team that we know that would definitely attack, and Lazio will try to defend. And when they get the ball, they can attack this. They would try to hurt this Bayern Munich side on the break. But it is still early. We haven't seen much action from the both sides. But as it is still Bayern who, when they have the ball, they try their possible best to go forward, and Lazio trying, to mark man ban every Bayern Munich player as it is. But for now, it is still the way it is, goalless. And once again, nothing really exciting at the moment.
Interestingly, Carl, is Chelsea dominating proceedings in terms of the possession statistics? 67% of it to Atletico's 33%.
Well, I wonder how much you're going to read into it. You know, just had about 6 minutes or thereabout played in the game so far. But yes, you've got to have possession in order to. I'll tell you something about the football style that is called sugar ball. I wonder if you know who actually plays sugar ball.
I'm listening, you tell me.
It's Fatayo Shaw, that's the current Aimba coach. He's the proponent of sugar ball. Now, he actually explained this during an interview. Now, he said, if you go to the market and you got money in your pocket, you could actually leave the market with goods or stuff that you like, you know. Why? Money in your pocket so you could purchase anything you see that you like. Now, he says, as a footballer, or rather as a team, if you have possession, if you enjoy possession, you can dictate the pace and you can eventually get goals. So you cannot dictate the pace or you cannot get goals if you do not have possession. So he loves to have his team have possession, you know. The ball itself, the possession of the ball is just like, you know, candy. So they're licking at it eventually before perhaps, you know, they get something of it. So that's sugar ball. So with possession, you could do damage. With possession, you could actually dictate the pace. So if Chelsea's enjoying possession, well, that's an opportunity for them to do some damage.
Well, what would Fatarisha say to those who would counter that you're vulnerable actually in football when you have the ball?
Well, it's true in a way. I'll say it's 50-50. If you've got possession and you're not minding your backyard, you definitely can be caught on the break. You definitely can be caught on the counter. So it's got to be done, you know, methodically. You've got to have some people stationed or behind in order to be able to catch any loose ball or perhaps, you know, any of the openers coming on the counter. So it's got to be done systematically. That's what it is. And it takes some discipline to do so, I tell you.
Right, and there are various ways, of course, to interpret possession as it comes to football. As it stands, it is Chelsea who are the better off in that particular stat, dominating with 67% to Atletico Madrid's 33%. But teams are level as far as the scoreboard is concerned. It is Diego Simeone up against Thomas Tuchel, and Carl. These are two managers that got high up the mountain, sighting the promised land, but couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, of course, most especially for Tuchel. He was with PSG last season. They got to the final against Bayern Munich. This is an opportunity for him to see perhaps if he could go a step further. You know, he's tried with PSG. It's never worked out for him. Can he do it with Chelsea? But it will interest you to know that Diego Simeone, or rather Roman Abramovich, the owner of Chelsea, has been a long-time admirer of Diego Simeone. That's the manager he would have loved to see at Chelsea, you know. Abramovich brought in Jose Mourinho, who was successful, you know, with his style of play over there at Chelsea. Abramovich would have loved to see, you know, someone strong and determined, you know, strong-willed as Diego Simeone coached his side. But Diego Simeone had remained loyal to Atleti all this while. Except last season, at a certain point in time, he was even booed at the Wanda Metropolitano by his own fans. But he's changed the style. He's reinvented the way they actually play for Atleti these days. So he's enjoying, you know, things well with Atleti. They're on top of the table, despite, of course, dropping points in the last two games, and they're looking like they may win it. He's a solid coach. Compare him to Tuchel, I'll say perhaps because he's coached in La Liga. Diego Simeone will perhaps be a little bit above him, and we know how tactically sound Diego Simeone can be. He plays for necessity. He doesn't play to the gallery. He doesn't play for beauty. He plays according to what's needed on the day.
Well, Diego Simeone, a man who has become synonymous with Atletico Madrid, an institution. The man is at the capital club of Spain, currently top in La Liga, but not having the best of days as far as the league is concerned. But
if I may add, he's actually been at Atleti for about 9 years or thereabouts. That's longer than perhaps any other Atleti coach has been in recent times. So when you say indeed synonymous with Atleti, that I agree.
True, and I wonder if he had made the switch to Chelsea on account of Roman Abramovich's admiration, if he would still be employed for that long on a stretch. We'll never know. Well, let's head over to the Stadio Olimpico. Eyes firmly on that one via Dorcas Koki. And how is it shaping up for defending champions Bayern Munich?
A bright start for Bayern Munich and a bright start for the number 9 of Bayern Munich. That is Robert Lewandowski, the Polish man who has gotten a goal for the visitors. And once again, it is coming from Kosi of a mistake from the Lazio defender Musacchio. He had the ball, was trying to get the ball, a back pass to his goalkeeper Rena, but he didn't get the ball through to Rena, and that was how it was Robert Lewandowski who got the ball on time, and he slotted the ball silently and quietly just past Pepe Rena as it is, and that is how they lead Lazio, who are at home at the Stadio Olimpico, 1-0 as it stands. But before that goal came in, we have seen quite a lovely attack coming from this Bayern Munich side, where Sula, from the right-hand flank, he pushed the ball, the attack, all the way to the defenders of the Lazio side. But it was Milinkovic Savic who eventually intercepted that ball from going through, and that was how it was. So whenever Bayern Munich has the ball and are trying to press, you get to see a 5-man defense from Lazio and 3 in the midfield, leaving two of their strikers going forward. So that's how they plan to approach this game against Bayern Munich. You have to be solid defensively and you have to be solid in the midfield. But right now, a mistake has cost them, and they are trailing by 1-0.
Well, prior to the game, Lazio coach Simone Inzaghi spoke a lot about how they were underdogs and could manage still to spring up a surprise to find that fixture. No surprise has been sprung. As sure as day and night, it's Bayern Munich taking the lead through that man, Robert Lewandowski. And over to you, Carl. While we were away at the Stadio Olimpico, what was happening in Bucharest?
Yeah, in Bucharest, Chelsea continues to dominate. They're the ones who've had, the shots at goal. They're the ones who've had the possession, just like we talked about earlier on. But still, there are no goals there in Bucharest. But I'm sure Thomas Tuchel will be happy with what he's seen so far. Diego Simeone should be the man who is worried at the moment.
Well, Diego Simeone, this man, as Carl says, should be worried, but I dare say could possibly be part of the game plan. Not afraid to cede possession to the opponents, looking to hit them when it matters the most.
Well, that's the way they've always played, previously. But there's all this talks about how Diego Simeone has reinvented himself, has reinvented Atletico Madrid, has reinvented football. Now, back in the day, for Atletico Madrid, what they play is a 4-4-2 formation. Non-adventurous, just leave it to the attackers whenever they have the opportunity for them to find what they could do. But after from the first few weeks of the season in La Liga, he's changed the formation. They now play a 3-5-2 or sometimes a 3-4-3 formation, playing 3 central defenders and giving space to the likes of Thomas Lemar and Llorente playing on the flanks. They're missing Kylian Trippier. Trippier used to be the man who used to do it for them. He gives up the opportunity for those players who are no longer charged with the defend. We've known Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone for doing. They now are adventurous. And guess what? They've scored more goals this season than usually they would have scored at this point in time. Last season, all they managed to score was about 51 goals or thereabouts that they scored. But currently at this stage, they have 45 goals now. Last season, the entirety of last season, 51 goals, but currently they have 45 goals. The season is not even 3/4 way it's done. So the formation has changed, the tactics have changed. Unlike what we used to see of Atletico Madrid before, it's a different Atleti side. Despite that loss against Levante, which I think was because they had an eye on this game against Chelsea, they now play for goals. They're pretty much adventurous and no longer happy to sit in the ball to the opponent.
Well, but that's, you have to say, the loss to 2-0 loss to Levante. It's just blown the La Liga wide open. I used to think that it was a done deal, but Real Madrid are yet again breathing down their necks, and it might not be Uhuru for Diego Simeone's side in the league. Yeah,
it's not Uhuru, definitely. They've still got to play for it. They've got to earn it. That's what it's definitely got to be. But yes, one would have thought that they shouldn't have lost that game against Levante. But I'm usually a bit, worried when it comes to prior to Champions League in midweek. I usually think most managers, most clubs have an eye on the game in midweek. As a result of that, there's special care and selection for the matches at the weekend. There's special care in order to perhaps not have players get injured or burn out. And as a result of that, team selection is a bit different, the changes made to this particular team today. He has about, 5 or thereabout changes, Diego Simeone. So it tells you it's a different team. So he had this game against Chelsea in mind, and that's why perhaps he lost that game against Levante. They shouldn't be losing to Levante, though. But you could like say perhaps forgive him. Like I said, had this big game against Chelsea in midweek in mind.
Yeah, we have to talk about Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea, but before then, Carl, a couple of chances coming for both sides.
Yeah, for Atletico Madrid earlier on, we saw Luis Suarez carefully worked it down from the right-hand flank, was able to put the ball, with the cross into it. Thomas Lemar slid in, couldn't make contact as he wanted, was only able to hit the side netting with it. But Chelsea were dangerously exposed in that one, and Thomas Tuchel was not happy with what he saw there. His side was basically, open there. PT Athletic couldn't, get that goal. But also on the flip side, Chelsea have also had their opportunity. They've actually, had more shots at goal to that we've seen, of course, come from Atletico Madrid, but still yet unable to convert, and it still remains goalless there in Bucharest.
Well, deadlock stays unbroken, but not for want of chances. But teams unable to convert what they have created after 15 minutes. Talking about Chelsea, Carl, it's interesting to see the change in fortune for some of the players. We spoke earlier about Mason Mount remaining a constant through Frank Lampard, and now Thomas Tuchel. But we have to talk about players like Kurt Zuma and Hakim Ziyech, and importantly, Reece James. And the change in fortune, they find themselves on the bench more often than the Frank Lampard days.
Yeah, so let's talk about Reece James. Now, some will say maybe for Reece James, is it a matter of perhaps Thomas Tuchel saying, I know what you can do? Because we're thinking here, that maybe he's just trying different players. Okay, we've seen these guys play. We've been watching them since. I know what they can do. Let me perhaps get a hang on of what these others can do. But it's been over 4 or 5 games now, and you say perhaps he should know which should be his best formation or which should be his best team. Maybe he's already made his choice. Well, they haven't really lost under him, have they? So perhaps he's settled down for something, and maybe perhaps he lost what he's seen. When you have the likes of Kurt Zuma no longer featuring, the likes of Reece James, these were strong stalwarts in the team under Frank Lampard. You now have a player like, Marcos Alonso getting to feature in the team, one who was forgotten, one who we thought perhaps was on the move and perhaps will be leaving, Chelsea, but he's now become a mainstay for the Thomas Tuchel side. It also has to do with formation. He's changed the formation too. More comfortable playing 3 at the back, and with playing 3 at the back, where's Chilwell? Chilwell, who spent so much money for, who you think perhaps should be the perfect left back. Instead, we've got, of course, Marcos Alonso playing that left wing back position. I beg your pardon. And all. Every coach has his own style. Every coach makes his own choices. Kosi, if you were put in charge of this Chelsea side, I wouldn't be surprised if half the players on the pitch tonight for the game against Atletico Madrid, you wouldn't play them. Yeah. You have your own preferences, So sometimes the player might be good, but due to what the coach wants to play on the night, his own formation and his own pattern, he will be selecting different players.
Well, surely different coaches come with different philosophies and interpret the ability of the personnel available to interpret it differently, of course, such is the case at Chelsea. The transition from Frank Lampard to Thomas Tuchel. 18 minutes in Bucharest. It is still, as we started, 0-0 between both sides. Let's head over to Rome, where Lazio are taking on Bayern Munich with Dorcas, Koki.
At the moment, Lazio are trying to find every confidence that they can against this Bayern Munich side. They look to be doing too much with the ball, especially their first touches whenever they have the ball. It is too much, or they push the ball too further and they can catch it, and the ball leaves them straight to Bayern Munich leg as it is. But I do think that for me, the most impressive from this Lazio side has to be Lazzari. He has been working so hard for them. The goal coming from Robert Lewandowski, must have done something to their psyche, would have done something to their the psychology in this game, because they haven't been doing quite well, but they need something positive. Just a few minutes ago, we saw something that should be that Lazio players thought was supposed to be a penalty for them, but the referee decided, okay, no, it should be offside as it is. So it is still 1-0 for Bayern Munich, and let's not forget that the goal Robert Lewandowski scored earlier is his 72nd in the UEFA Champions League. So he's now currently 3rd on the Champions League high all-time top scorers as it is. So he has overtaken Raul Gonzalez with that goal he scored just a few minutes ago against Lazio.
Well, the man Robert Lewandowski keeps on writing his legend. Of course, the likes of Milinkovic-Savic and Correa And of course, their manager Simeone Inzaghi have their work cut out for them against reigning German and European champions Bayern Munich, who are already a goal up over there at the Stadio Olimpico. And Carl, I'm going to also make you multitask even further by bringing you and Dorcas into this conversation. They say that winning a title is difficult, but defending a title is even more difficult. First off, before we zero it down to Bayern Munich and their hopes of retaining the Champions League this season, how true is this assertion?
Well, it is indeed true. When you're champion, everyone knows your capability. You're out there. The ambition of everyone is to beat you. Anytime people come up against you, they bring their A game. They bring something special. Why? They're playing the champions, so they're always there against you. So it's a bit difficult. But when you are not the champion, the focus is not directly on you. You're not the one who's setting the pace. Someone supposedly has set the pace. You're aiming to beat what that person has put on ground or has made available. So it's easier. It's just like when you run, perhaps on the tracks during the marathon. Have you noticed, most especially those who lead the race, from the early stages, they never get to win the race. It's easier to win the race after someone has set the pace, because you have something you're working towards and something you're looking forward to beating. So that's what happens there. Difficult, to defend the title as opposed to chasing and winning the title.
Well, Dorcas, do you agree it's more difficult to defend the title than to win a title? How about the confidence it gives you coming into a season knowing that you've conquered the terrain that you walk on in whatever competition you are competing in?
From what people who have won titles have said over the years, they said that it's difficult to eventually defend the title that you won, which seemed to be pretty easier. Well, you talked about confidence. Yes, of course, winning a title previous season should be able to give you confidence. You need the confidence heading into a new season. But Carlos also said the fact, he was like, you would have to struggle. That particular form you had while you won that title might not be taken into the new season, so it will be very difficult for you to keep that particular pace from last season to the new season as it is. And that's what we've seen in some of this bigger leagues, where we've seen new champions emerge, or even when you eventually get to defend the title, you have to go through torrid and tough times for you to eventually defend it. So far, I do think that it is way more difficult to actually defend the title than even winning it for me.
Interesting, and that's the first conversation we will be seeking to have with you on the evening, while we bring you updates still with regards to the games happening in the Champions League round of 16 in Bucharest, where Atletico Madrid are playing Chelsea, and in Rome, where Lazio are taking on Bayern Munich. Which is easier, to win a title or to defend a title? You're too eldest to also be able to tell us why you think what you think. And to get in touch with us, you can text us on 0809 030 6416. That is on WhatsApp. Tell us what you think. Is it easier to win a title than to defend it? A school of thought says it's easier to win a title than to defend it. Do you agree? Do you disagree, and why? 0809 030 6416 on WhatsApp. 23 minutes in, Atletico Madrid 0, Chelsea 0. 23 minutes, we're here as well. It is at the Stadio Olimpico. What's the scoreline? A reminder, Dorcas Koki.
It is 1-0 in favor of Bayern Munich, who was still pressing, who was asking. But just a few minutes ago, we have seen that Lazio are beginning to garner the confidence that they need against Bayern, and are pressing and are trying to create something. And just as we are talking about creating, just as we are talking about Bayern just leading 1-0, it has to be another goal for the side, and it's that young man that came into the side for and flicks at Bayern Munich. It is Jamal Musiala. He just got them the second in the game. Lazio needs to be more defensive minded against the Bayern Munich side. You know that every few mistake you have to go through, every few mistake that is done will give Bayern the lead, or even concede more goals as it is. So for me, it is Bayern who are still leading Lazio 2-0 in just in a 20-something minutes of 26 minutes or 25 minutes of the game, and it's still Bayern leading 2-0.
Well, Carl, the Bavarians want to decide the tie in one leg as it stands, leading 2-0 over there in Rome.
Usually, should I say, delicate for any team when you play against Bayern Munich. You know how dangerous they can be. Zaghi talked about it, like Dorcas said earlier on. It's easier for them because they've got their troubles at home, been unable to win games after they return from the Club World Cup. So why not take, some pressure off yourself, handle this one so that you could go face the second leg, perhaps maybe just purely academic, so you go face the troubles you've got at home.
Right, 24 minutes, Lazio chasing 2 goals. The visitors, Bayern Munich, running riot over there at the Stadio Olimpico. Not so much the same in Bucharest, where Atletico Madrid are hosting Chelsea. Yes, home away from home. It is the Blues still locked to 0-0 against the Spanish side, as it were. That's the way it is. And the Champions League are not the only fixtures happening this evening. It's happening also in the English Championship. It's 68 minutes in the game between Birmingham and Norwich City. It's 1-1 in that fixture. Derby County is beating Huddersfield 2-0. Middlesbrough, after 67 minutes, is losing at home 3-0 to Bristol City. Luton Town 0, Millwall 0, Rotherham United 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Wycombe Wanderers 0, Reading 0, and earlier this evening in the Premier League it was Leeds United who vanquished visiting Southampton, who by the way held Chelsea to a 1-1 draw in the last game in the Premier League. Yes, vanquished by Leeds United 3-0. Patrick Bamford yet again scoring for Leeds. Stuart Dallas with the second, and Rafinha with a sumptuous free kick to make it 3-0 after 84 minutes. Yes, and that's the way it's happened in the Premier League. Remember, we're still asking you what you think about the question posed. Is it easier to win a title than to defend it? What say ye, and why have you said so? You can leave your message on WhatsApp 0809 030 6416, and shortly we will be able to go to the WhatsApp portal to take a look at the messages that you've left up. But first, let's go to Carl to keep us up to speed with what's happening over there in the game between Chelsea and Atletico Madrid.
Still goalless as it stands there in Bucharest, but of course Chelsea still pressing and looking to find their way forward. Atletico Madrid, when they get the opportunity, they go forward, but it's more of Chelsea. If we decide to put it on a scale there, it actually tips towards Chelsea. Can they get to goal? They continue to edge closer, but they're let down when they get to the final third. But they're still trying there, Chelsea.
No, it's the way it is over there in Bucharest, the capital of Romania, and also their commercial net centre, hosting the Champions League round of 16 first leg, which was supposed to be played at the Stadio Wanda Metropolitano in Madrid, Spain, but due to COVID-19 travel restrictions, Atletico have had to make that trip to Romania to be able to entertain Chelsea. Let's go to WhatsApp to look at the messages that you have left us. This one is saying, I'm Kachi from Eneka. Please WhatsApp Atletico's lineup. You will be getting a recap of it in just a moment. This one says, good evening, Sports Gang. I am relaxed to enjoy the updates tonight. My prediction is Bayern 2, Lazio 1. Bayern has scored 2. It's Lazio who'd have to reply and keep it that way for your prediction to stand correctly. And you go on to say Atletico will beat Chelsea 2-1. Nejum from Rumodara instead. And someone says, hi Sports Gang, I'm Kinsley Amabara from Iwoma. Chelsea will carry the day 2-1. All right, next one says Lazio 1, Bayern 2, Atleti 2, Chelsea 1. This next one says, hello Sports Gang, good evening. You're asking where the matches are being shown on a particular cable network. I just say what I was saying in response is search through the sports channels, and if you have the adequate subscription, yes, of course you will have the match beamed on your television set. Lazio versus Bayern Munich is one of the big matches tonight. There has been making mistakes this time in the Bundesliga, but tonight it's going to be a serious cracker. So it's going to be 4-1 in favor of Bayern Munich. They're well on the way to winning that fixture, I have to say, in the very first leg. 2-0 up in the first half. Good evening, sports analysts. You guys are bringing flair and a lot of variety to the analysis, especially in the angle that concerns what Enyimba described as a sugar bowl. Michael Adiele from Aba. And I have to say that's definitely has to be an Enyimba fan.
Definitely. Adiele, he's from Aba. And of course, in Enyimba, in Aba rather, Enyimba is a religion. It's not just a football club. They follow them, the fans there in Enyimba. In Aba, I keep saying Enyimba. You see, Enyimba, Aba is the same thing, The fans there in Aba, for them, they worship Enyimba. Enyimba is the club. And that's why if the club is not doing fine, the club is not doing well, they're not happy.
Well, Carl, the reward for swimming through the sea, of course, that contained sharks and dolphins, wasn't quite an easy one for Enyimba. It gets even tougher for them, doesn't it?
Now, some people say not easy. Now, you've got a team from Libya, then you've got the one from Algeria, a Setif, then Orlando Pirates. Now, from the ratings and the rankings, I would have thought, perhaps someone says history. I'm thinking it should be an easy group for Enyimba. It's been termed the group of death, by most people. But in my opinion, I took a look at it and I said, wow, perhaps even if Rivers United were here, they would stand a chance. That's what I thought, a Setif, Orlando Pirates, and of course, what's the team from Libya there?
Ali Benghazi.
To me, you see, it's not difficult. Come what may, Enyimba should finish at least second. That's if they finish second. To me, in my opinion, they can top the group if they want to. Come what may, they should finish second. They should be able to qualify from that group. In my opinion, I still repeat once again, not a difficult group to me.
Right, and I'm going to have to drag you into this conversation, Dorcas, Koki. Let's stick with Enyimba. How easy is it going to be for our only hope on the continent? Carl says they should finish second. Will it be as easy as he makes it sound?
Well, we have known that in recent times, whenever Nigerian clubs head into the CAF interclub competition, it's never easy. But Enyimba have been able to, crave a name and carve a name for themselves, a niche when it comes to this competitions. Just a few seasons back, they got to the semi-final, though lost to, the Tunisian side as it is, which are always going to be a nemesis for West African teams as it stands down there in CAF competition. But looking at the group, Enyimba will get it tough, but I do think that they would go through. Looking at the fact that they have Setif to contend with, and Orlando Pirates going to revive the South African-Nigerian rivalry when it comes to football these days. And let's not forget Al Hilal Benghazi, the Libyan side, who a lot of persons will say, well, we don't know them. They're not a regular name down here when it comes to CAF competition, but they can also pose as a huge stress. So for me, Enyimba will have to keep all heads down, concentrate, and be determined. Let me use as a Wenger's 3 words. If you want to dominate, if you want to win titles, you have to have the 3 C's, which is you have to, have concentration, you have to control the game, and you have to be calm. So those are the 3 C's that Enyimba need to eventually qualify from this group as it is Group A.
Well, if you were under any doubts that it is indeed football frenzy, a football salad of sorts, there you have it, talking all things Champions League, Championship, Premier League and CAF Confederations Cup right here on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Onah Kosi here with the point man in sports, Carlo Rapwe, and the sports diva, Dorcas Koki herself, talking you through, bringing you the very latest updates across the match venues. Well, in Bucharest, where Atletico Madrid are playing Chelsea, it is 0-0 after 32 minutes. In Rome at the Stadio Olimpico, it is Bayern Munich running riot, 2-0 as it stands. The away team, the German Giants, yes, beating Lazio, Simone Inzaghi's Lazio, and still even asking for more. Correct, that is, Dorcas, isn't it?
Of course, yes, but just before I talk you through what has been happening in the game, let me tell you that his substitution has been made by Inzaghi. Of course, it was Matteo Musacchio who was changed. He caught the first goal against his side, Lazio, and Lewandowski got the cue and eventually slotted the first goal for Bayern. So he was changed by a midfielder who comes in, that is Senad Lucic. He comes in for Matteo Musacchio in the 31st minute for this Lazio side. So it looks like one defender being taken off and a midfielder brought in. So which means one player from the midfield will have to drop as Musacchio leaves. It's going to be Marusic who is going to drop 2 defenders to help his side. But for now, it looks like Bayern are still pressing, Bayern are still leading, Bayern are still trying to get more goals for themselves. Let's see if they can get 1 more or 2 more before even the halftime mark.
Right, and for a moment, Carl, in Bucharest, national allegiance was set aside as 2 Spaniards collided. That's thankfully if the appears they are both able to continue without any impediment.
Yeah, of course, when you spoke about, excuse me, I talk about by the way, sorry, I just got carried away by the man of the moment, Luis Suarez, the top, scorer there in Spain, the man who, we had a debate about him last week, a strong one. And we had a very, Dorcas was also here talking about if Barcelona should have sold him or not. And lots of people talk concerning that one. But anyways, for Luis Suarez, had an opportunity for, of course, Atletico Madrid, unable to convert. And the duels continue to happen there in the center of the park there for, of course, between Atletico Madrid and Chelsea. Chelsea no longer on top as we had them earlier on. Atletico Madrid basically warming their way into the game at the moment, and we know how they can be tenacious. Forget the fact that tactics has changed, forget the fact formation has changed. One thing you will still get about Diego Simeone's side is that tenacity, and we're seeing the tenacity, of course, beginning to kick in for Atletico Madrid.
Well, no, quite tenacious, and a couple of fouls here and there. Referee Birch keeping an eye on things, trying to regulate all 22 men chasing the round ladder. Yes, both teams, well, yet unable to break the deadlock. 0-0 as it stands. Let's keep interacting with you now. Let's head to the WhatsApp portal. And this one is continuing to make the inquiry as to where he can see the matches. And yes, as I said, you could go through the sports channels of that cable network you're talking about. And I assure you that if you have the necessary subscription, you will be able to see the game on your television sets. Good evening. Okay, this one's certainly not for us. As says, good evening. Chelsea Goleta collect Shah or Bayern and Mebuzi from Port Harcourt. Thank you very much, Mebuzi. And Michael from Meneka. It's easier to defend than to win. But Michael, you'd have done well to also tell us why you think it's easier to win a title than to defend a title. This one says, good evening, sports gang. You guys are doing well. Chelsea will lose by 1-0 to Atletico Madrid. We will keep our eyes firmly fixed on that game to bring you that scoreline if it eventually pans out the way that you've predicted. Good evening, guys. Please, is Timo Werner on for Chelsea tonight? Yes, he is on for Chelsea tonight. He's up front alongside Olivier Giroud and Mason Mount. Good evening, sports gang. You people are doing a great work. Chelsea will beat Atletico Madrid by 2-0. Your name is Yanga Nobleman, texting from GRA, I presume in Port Harcourt. One game, football without violence. Chelsea would trash Atletico by a 1-0 scoreline. A goodie back from Uniport. All right, thank you very much. So many messages still to take. Keep them coming. Your sports gang is here to interact with you through this fixtures as we bring you updates as to what's going on. Let's go over to the Stadio Olimpico and talk to Dorcas Koki.
Yeah, of course, we have seen a few good attacking-minded play from this Lazio side. They have been trying to see if they can come into the game. We have seen Patrick for the Lazio side. He missed the target earlier, and we have also seen that they have also been troubling the defender, the goalkeeper for Bayern Munich, Manuel Neuer, as it is. But he has been holding his own steadfastly for this Bayern side. Just earlier, Robert Lewandowski had an effort on goal, but it was Peperena who eventually had to save the day once again for Lazio. And so far so good, it's still 2-0 in favor of Bayern Munich.
Now Bayern, of course, to wrapping things up pretty early. 2-0 up away to Lazio in the first leg of the round 16 clash between both sides, and looking to even get more goals. The Germans, of course, looking to bounce back. Hasn't been a very good time for them since the return from Qatar, the FIFA Club World Cup. Drew with Amelia Bielefeld and lost 2-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt. But certainly making amends in the Champions League as it stands after 37 minutes away to Lazio in the Stadio Olimpico. 2-0. Musiala and of course Robert Lewandowski gets the goals. And Carl, bit of action over there at Bucharest.
Yeah, and we're seeing Timo Werner getting pretty much involved. Sometimes you forget that the young man is indeed talented. All we saw of him at RB Leipzig, we've not been able to see him relieve all that here in Chelsea. But glimpses here, flashes here, had a wonderful opportunity not too long ago. Was able to, of course, spin his marker, lost his marker, let loose with his left boot, but unable to, of course, go beyond Jan Oblak in goal. So, talented fellow Timo Werner, and he's yet to really find his feet at Chelsea.
Yeah, Jan Oblak staying strong, punching away with both arms. Thoroughly embarrassed by Levante's second goal in La Liga over the weekend. Of course, left his goal to try and rescue something for his team in the dying minutes. In came the corner kick, defended by Levante, and the attacker sped away and tapped the ball into an open net. Protest as he may, the referee was having none of it as it ended. Levante 2, Atletico Madrid 0, but it is 0-0 between themselves and Chelsea at the moment. Jan Oblak not embarrassed in any way, as we did say just moments ago, staying strong to wait off the strike from Timo Werner.
Sometimes it does happen to the best, you know. You may have your off day as a goalkeeper, you may have your off day as a player, Ask Alison Becker. Basically, I think he's had an off month. Or basically, yes, he's had an off month. So it could be a bad day in the office for you. So for Jan Oblak, surprised that Atletico Madrid has been able to keep him all these years. For a very long time, he's been amongst the top 3 goalkeepers in the world. And they've kept him all this while. And he's been loyal. That's faithfulness you're not getting football anywhere. I'm also asking myself, how long will he stay there and tell himself, well, I've given them my all? Will he decide to try his luck elsewhere? Will he decide to try his fortunes elsewhere? Perhaps to go somewhere else and win stuff? Anyways, much will be decided after they win La Liga, because lots of people think they indeed will win La Liga this season. I guess after that's done, he can now make a decision and say, let me go try my fortunes elsewhere.
Well, the Chelsea moments ago were looking in free flow, surging forward. But in the end, Carl, it wasn't. The final ball was lacking, you have to say.
We've seen Mason Mount. We've seen Callum Wilson-Odoi. That's a Callum Hudson-Odoi. We've seen Hudson-Odoi have lots of chances to the right-hand flank for Chelsea. The ball always put into that particular direction, but they've been unable to actually make it count. Speaking of Hudson-Odoi, you know what happened to him at the weekend? Came in as a half-time substitute. Spent about 15 minutes or thereabouts. They got yanked off by the coach, and everyone was thinking that's something that can kill that boy's morale. But here he is starting today. So I don't know if it's Thomas Tuchel, trying to make amends for what happened at the weekend, or he's spoken to him at the weekend. I yanked you up because you didn't play to instruction. I yanked you up because you weren't doing what I asked you to do. But he's playing today, and I hope he's got his full confidence back.
Okay, certainly. Some tough love affair between Thomas Tuchel and Callum Hudson-Odoi, substituted after coming in as a substitute. And post-match, of course, the German manager went down hard on the Englishman, saying he failed to work hard, and that's why he was taking off. But confidence restored, starting in the all-important fixture against Atletico Madrid. That's the way it is sometimes with coaches. Heading over to Dorcas. Let's talk about the men in red versus the men in blue.
Right now, it is still Bayern scoring goals as if it is no one's business down there at the Stadio Olimpico against this Lazio side, who seem to be misunderstanding themselves in the midfield and allowed Kingsley Coman in the left flank eventually get the ball through and just have a defender in front of him to contend with. Got the ball to the goalkeeper, who eventually had to punch it out. Perena did that, and the ball went to the face of Leroy Sané, who eventually had to get a shot in it. And he has gotten the 3rd goal for this Bayern Munich side. So Bayern are leading 3-0 against the Italian Serie A side, Lazio.
Well, Leroy Sané won't score many easier goals than that throughout his career. All the hard work done by Kingsley Coman. In the end, the keeper parried straight into the path of Leroy Sané. He said, thank you very much. I'm going to give Bayern the 3rd goal in the fixture. And so it was. Bayern Munich 3 away to Lazio. Yes, who have no goal. 3-0 it is. And over at Chelsea, 42 minutes in, 3 minutes. Make that 2 minutes left for the duration of the first 45. Still locked at 0-0. Both teams sizing each other up. Not able to find the final product. But overall, Carl, approaching half-time, who would you say edges it, even if it's just by a millimetre?
If I will drop it for any side, it definitely will be Chelsea. I'll give it to them. Though, like I did acknowledge, we've got more of a game now from Atletico Madrid than we had in the early starts of this game. But Chelsea, in my opinion, still edging this one ahead of Atletico Madrid.
Now, Chelsea, suppose that's great news for the Blues. It's always a tough game against Atletico Madrid, and they have really held their own so far. But in the end, it's not holding your own that would count. It's what you do, the most important stats, which is the scoreboard. And as it stands, Chelsea unable to make the Atletico Madrid net bulge. But to be fair to them, Atletico Madrid have not managed to do the same at the opposite end. As we are approaching half-time, let's interact with you on WhatsApp. This one says, good evening, my name is Kingsley from Mazroha. Chelsea will win by 2-1 tonight. You guys are doing a great work. Thank you very much. Says, good day guys, in the studio. Atletico Madrid 1, Chelsea 1. Mendy to cost the mistake. Abel, is your name. So it says, I noticed that you guys don't give us commentary anymore, but updates. I really enjoy it when you give us commentaries. It makes you too perfect for the love of the game. Bright from Elele. Bright, so that's a spot on observation. This is an exercise in bringing you updates rather than commentaries. A few things in the works. Once sorted out, the commentaries that you will love would make a comeback. But for now, we take us as we are, serving you the very best that we can given the circumstances. And Carl, a minute of added time after the expiration of the 45 in Bucharest.
Yeah, and still no goal. Some final action maybe before we'll get to the teams going for the break. And I'm sure everybody will be looking. There's no better advantage, morale booster than going into the break with a goal in hand. For both sides, you've got to be careful also at this point in time not to make mistakes. You'll be thinking, nearly done with the 45 minutes, we haven't conceded. Let me go and come back, the next half. Then boom, you concede one. So it's also time to be careful. But both sides will love to go into the break with at least a goal.
Now that the Stadio Olimpico, has the 45 expired, and how much has been added?
It is at 1 minute, as it is for Bayern Munich, who are still leading Lazio 3 goals to nothing. They are still fighting to get more goals in the first half, but Lazio are trying their possible best to stop them all the way through. But let's see how it's going to be, if it's going to earn 3 goals to nothing in favor of Bayern Munich in the first half.
Approaching the end of the 45 in Germany. Well, Italy, rather, where the German side are taking on Lazio. Over at Bucharest, Carl, has the referee called time and proceedings?
Yeah, the referee is actually whistled for half-time there, and the players were heading into the dressing room. It's ended, of course, the first half, goalless as it stands, where every team has actually had themselves all worked up. If you're interested in taking a look at the stats there, it's been Chelsea, official stats say Chelsea has dominated this half, 71% of possession. Atletico Madrid, 29% of possession. And an interesting stat also is Chelsea has had 5 shots at goal, 2 on target, but just a solitary one for Atletico Madrid, not on target.
That's the way it is in Bucharest. How is it shaping up in Rome? Full half-time it is, I suppose.
Half-time it is down there at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, in Italy. And it is Bayern Munich leading all proceedings, as it is. Obviously, you'd get to know that they are leading the proceedings, because possession-wise, it is 57 for Bayern Munich and 43% for the Lazio side. And when it comes to total attempts made, it is Bayern Munich with 8 attempts and then 1 on target. 1 on target as it is for the Bayern Munich side, and they have been doing everything right. When it comes to passing accuracy, it is 87% and 81% for the Lazio. So things have been quite good for the Bayern Munich side, looking at as how they have been pressing and are leading 3 goals to nothing down there in Italy against Lazio.
All right, that's the way it stands. Well, half-time in both venues in Bucharest and, of course, in Rome.
Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers.
We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue.
League man. That was my dilly din dilly dong. Come on. You forget. You speak about blah blah blah, but we are in Champions League.
That's what
Come on, man.
How big an achievement for you?
Oh, it's fantastic, fantastic, terrific. Well done to everybody. The honors, the fans, to the players, the staff, everybody involved. Also Anthony here. But it's a great achievement, unbelievable. And now we go straight away to try to win the title. Only this remain, only this. I know Pochettino is Mauricio. Keep calm.
Well, it wasn't always going to be an easy tie between Atletico Madrid and Chelsea. And what we've seen unfold before our eyes has lived up to the fact that these are actually two tough opponents coming up against each other. A match of some sort, huff and puff as they may. No side able to find, the positives and the part of scoring goals. That's why at halftime it is locked at 0-0. Just a reminder of the statistics. It's just Chelsea doing pretty well on the possession side of things with 71% of it to Atleti's 29%. Chelsea with 5 shots on goal, 2 on target. Atletico Madrid 1 on goal with none on target. All in all, Carl, it's been a brave performance from Chelsea away from home.
Yeah, they've actually played with some comfort. They've been able to hold possession and even enjoy dominance in possession. Only problem is that they've not been able to make it count. We've not seen the goal for their efforts. But yes, they've come out to play, and that's what you expect. It's an expensively assembled side, so they should be playing with courage, they should be playing with confidence, and that we've seen so far.
Right, and what about for Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid? Is he guilty of being a little bit too tentative in the way he set out his team to play? Are they being a little bit too timid? And do you think that if they were bold enough to attack Chelsea a little bit more, Chelsea would turn out to be a little bit more timid and be there for the taking?
Yeah, it's possible. But I hailed Diego Simeone talking about how much he's changed things, for this season most especially. Tactics formation has changed as opposed to what we got in play last season. Atletico has scored about 45 goals already. this season, as opposed to the 51 they scored in the entirety of the season. And the difference is that if perhaps they come out and attack, yes, it's possible that they may be able to, of course, do better than they are doing now. But sometimes a leopard cannot actually change his sports, and maybe that's why Diego Simeone is doing what he's doing.
All right, and those are the words of Carlo Racque, the point man in sports, giving his assessments on Chelsea so far as it were. Well, we will go for quite a short break, and when we come back, we'll look at the benches available for both managers, Simeone and Thomas Tuchel. And then we'll be looking at what changes could be effected in the second half to bring the much-needed results for either side. Don't go anywhere. Leave it locked to 92.3 Nigeria Info. And right, we're back as promised, and starting with Atletico Madrid, let's have a look at the benches. Jeffrey Kondogbe is on the bench, as well as Vitolo, and new acquisition Moussa Dembele. Ex-gunner Lucas Torreira is also on the bench. Ronan Lodi, Alvaro Garcia, Sergio Camelo, and Sanchez Sesandra also are amongst the substitutes for Diego Simeone's men. We've not seen the best of Luis Suarez, but of course you wouldn't imagine he'll be looking for Moussa Dembele to substitute the Uruguayan. His quality is immense, and you'll expect him to continue in the second.
Definitely, who'll be thinking of taking up Luis Suarez? We may not have seen him score a goal, but we've seen his work and his effort. His work ethic hasn't changed. So long as he's not injured, Luis Suarez always gives 105%. So long as he's not injured. And we've seen him run around the field. He actually created that chance that Thomas Lemar wasn't able to connect with. And also he's been involved in some of the little opportunities they've had so far. Yes, they may not have had a real shot on target, but they've looked dangerous some certain times when they've moved forward.
Right, and speaking about Chelsea, much of Chelsea's departments have been up and doing in the first half. But we have to talk about the tip of the attacking arrow, which is Olivier Giroud. Yes, and we haven't seen much of him in the first. Tammy Abraham is on the bench. Might be required to coming in the second half.
Yeah, you need to change things. You need to tweak things a little bit if it's not working. Yes, we got Olivier Giroud. We got Timo Werner doing of course, what he can on the left, while Hudson-Odoi there on the right. But the truth is, it's not connected. It's not worked. Is it from a lack of effort? No, it's not from a lack of effort. But sometimes when you tweak things around, you're able to get something. And so maybe we may see, perhaps, Tammy Abraham coming too.
Right, quickly to Dorcas as we get ready to go to the phone lines to speak with you. Of course, it should be business as it was in the first half for Bayern Munich, but for Simeone Inzaghi's Lazio, what changes could they make in the second half to at least keep the scoreline respectable?
For me, nothing has been going right for the Lazio side, especially in the first half. Bayern have been on a different level so far against that Lazio. Lazio have made a couple of mistakes and hasn't favored them at all defensively, and that was what led to the first goal scored by Robert Lewandowski. Up front, I think they've had a few chances to curve, and also they have been wasteful. So I think what Inzaghi would definitely do is make sure that his defense is quite sturdy enough to hold off threat from this Bayern Munich side coming to the second half, not being able to score goals. But if they can do that and also not being wasteful in front of goal, I'm quite sure they can get themselves back into the game. Right,
and let's talk to you now on the phone lines. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0009. Chelsea faithfuls, how impressed have you been with Thomas Tuchel's setup this evening away to Atletico Madrid? It is 0-0, but Chelsea have been playing really well. 71% of ball possession, but have been blunt in attack. What changes would you want to see in the second half Atleti fans and neutrals, as it were, assess the Atletico Madrid team. How do you want them to attack Chelsea in the second? And what will be the right result for either team at the end of the full 90? Let's talk to you. Good evening and welcome to Football Frenzy.
Good evening. It's Chinazam from Imo State.
Welcome, Chinazam from Imo State.
Yeah, I'm very happy what Chelsea are doing tonight.
Right.
Let them keep it up and just score a goal.
Just score a goal, the all-important away goal. All right.
Yeah. I know that Chelsea will carry the day up Chelsea.
All right. He says up Chelsea, Chinazam. Welcome to Football Frenzy.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you. Welcome.
Good evening, Carl.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dorcas.
Good evening to you.
My name is Leonard. I'm calling from Imo State.
Welcome, Leonard.
Yeah, I'm actually a first-time listener of the radio.
Oh, first-time listener. That's interesting. Glad to have you aboard. Welcome to the family.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I used to listen to you back then in Lagos. So I just moved down to this place and I stumbled to Nigerian info here.
Oh, well, nice to welcome you into the fold. So your thoughts on the games that we're looking at? Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Bayern, Lazio.
Yeah, for the Bayern game, I think it's done and dusted after for Bayern Munich. They're
Okay.
not losing this game today. And
Okay.
then for the Chelsea game, you probably see one just a goal for Chelsea. But Chelsea has dominated the first half unless Diego Simeone will have to make some changes. Probably bring on Musa Dembele for the younger guy.
Oh, Yao Felix.
Felix.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sure this guy, they're going together up front.
Okay, pair Musa Dembele and Luis Suarez up front. We will see if that indeed becomes a possibility. Just as the second half has kicked off, a couple more calls because we are really interested in hearing from you. Welcome to Football Frenzy.
Hello?
Welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome. Nice to have you. What's your
My
name?
name
Where are
is
you
Doc-
calling from?
This gentleman,
Yeah.
that match, we are not going to see any goal in that center.
Oh, it's going to end the way it is at the moment, so you say.
Yes, we are not going to see any goal in that center.
Okay.
But in Bayern, we are going to see more goals.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. More goals at the venue hosting Bayern Munich. Stadio Olimpico says Chelsea will end at 0-0. And yes, the proceedings have started. A couple of seconds at both venues into the second half. We will get to that shortly. Welcome to Football Frenzy.
Hello, good evening, Carl.
Good evening.
My name is Destiny, calling from Port Harcourt.
Welcome, Destiny.
You're so much of a Chelsea fan, and I will tell you the truth, I'm really impressed with what my team is doing tonight.
Right.
Before during the build-up of this game, we are very scared of Atletico Madrid threat. But right now we can actually see what they can do. I just believe in my heart that we are going to win the game. Please, 2-1, definitely.
All right, 2-1. So says the Chelsea fan. Thoroughly impressed with what his team is doing at the moment. And that's it for the halftime phone calls. Expect more interaction with you as the game proceeds on WhatsApp and back to the phone lines as soon as we are done with the full 90. Yes, 2 minutes into the second half at the Bucharest venue. Atletico Madrid hosting Chelsea. Home away from home, and sides have been changed, of course. Chelsea still recognizable in their light blue outfit. Atletico Madrid the same in their red and white stripes. Chelsea now defending on the left and attacking to the right, and Atletico Madrid defending on the left. On the right, rather, and attacking to the left as it stands. No change in personnel. Both managers Thomas Tuchel and Diego Simeone keeping faith with the preferred 11 from the first 45. Chelsea looking sprightly. Atletico Madrid paying attention as the Chelsea attack keeps building up. It's also 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes over at the Stadio Olimpico, where Lazio are down by 4 to Bayern Munich. Let's head over to Dorcas Koki and see if there is any change in personnel and any change in shape. How has Simeone and Hansi Flick decided to approach the second?
It is a beautiful start to the second half for Bayern Munich. Kosi, you spoiled my fun. I was going to say Lazio has scored at least one, and this time it isn't for themselves. It is an own goal. It was Francesco Acerbi who eventually had a touch on Leroy Sané's pass to his teammate down there in the 18-yard box, but it was Francesco Acerbi. He eventually got a touch and it went back into his net against his own goalkeeper, Pepe Reina. And it is Bayern who are now leading 4 goals to nothing. That is 4 unreplied goals for this Bayern Munich side, the defending champions as it is. So it is a tough nut, goal score line for Lazio to actually overturn. But can they get one for themselves tonight and keep maybe a certain hope alive when they go over there in Germany for the second leg against Bayern Munich? Is the question.
Well, Carl, a lot happening in Bucharest, but first we have to say it's Lazio collaborating with the enemy for their own destruction.
Yeah, of course, Lazio, yeah. Unfortunately, when it doesn't rain, sometimes it pours. So that's what's happening for Lazio over there in that game against Bayern Munich. But in Bucharest, Atletico Madrid and Chelsea, one man who's been pretty much involved in the second half is Luis Suarez. He's had altercation with the Chelsea captain, Cesar Azpilicueta, and also with Callum Hudson-Odoi. The Chelsea players are not happy with Luis Suarez. They believe he's making a meal of any challenge against him. And Cesar Azpilicueta really made his thoughts felt to Luis Suarez. But what does Luis Suarez care? He will continue doing Luis Suarez kind of things as we've always known him to do.
Of course. And what kind of reception do you think he would receive if he makes a trip to Ghana?
Well, Luis Suarez?
Yeah.
They're not going to forget in a hurry that World Cup there, where he basically denied them an opportunity, to go beyond the quarterfinals of the World Cup. But come what may, he's still a star. He's a big star no matter what. I'm sure we've got lots of Barcelona fans over there in Ghana, and who perhaps some of them might be Atletico Madrid fans. Lots of them, you know why? Thomas Partey, featured for Atletico Madrid. So I'm sure they would have found it in their hearts to forgive him.
All right. Well, that remains. We'll know for certain the day, life takes Luis Suarez to Ghana. And over to the Stadio Olimpico. We'll hear that Lazio have learned the art of scoring in the right net, as it appears, Dorcas.
Stadio Olimpico is bustling with lots of goals tonight between Lazio and Bayern Munich. And yes, they have learned the art to eventually score goals. That is Lazio in their own net this time around. It is João Kinkora who eventually have scored one for the Lazio side. They have been quite good going forward. That's what we also saw in the first half. But defensively is the problem. They haven't been able to hold their own against the Bayern Munich side, against the Bayern Munich attackers as it is between Kingsley Coman, Leroy Sané and even Robert Lewandowski as it is. They haven't been able to hold them. But so far, they put one for themselves. Just a few minutes ago, I was talking if they can put one back for themselves and see if they can have a lifeline heading down to Bayern Munich for the return leg. But it is now 4-1 in favor of Bayern Munich. And just as we were talking, it was Lucas Livia for Lazio who was shown a yellow card rather, on a poor foul, and the referee deemed it fit for a yellow card, and he has been yellow carded.
Well, Lucas Leiva of Liverpool fame. These days, the Italian capital, Rome, doing the business in the midfield for Lazio. But his contribution is not enough, apparently, to save his side as it is at the moment. Losing by 4-1 to the almighty Bayern Munich, defending champions of this competition. Has won everything that they have competed in. 6 out of 6, equaling Barcelona from 2009. And will they be able to match Real Madrid, who were able to win the Champions League back-to-back? Something that was deemed impossible, but they did it 3 times on the bounce. Real Madrid. Carl, back to Bucharest. How is it shaping up at the moment?
Some clairvoyance, I would say, from one of the few callers we got earlier on. There was a caller who talks about more goals to come in Italy, and there will be no goals of course, the game we're watching in Bucharest. Well, I don't know how true that is. Another caller talked about Mendy perhaps making a mistake and there will be a goal. Well, we saw a situation where the Chelsea defense in 60s and 70s, some poor communication between Rudiger and Mendy, nearly costing the Chelsea side. They survived that one and still remains goalless there in Bucharest.
Survives that one, Mendy. Not as steady as expected, but Chelsea don't pay the ultimate prize. And let's quickly take you on a trip around the match venues that we're keeping our eyes on. Away from the Champions League, of course, in the English Championship. It is full time between Birmingham and Norwich City. Norwich City beating the home side Birmingham 3-1. Derby County beating Huddersfield 2-0 after full time. Middlesbrough losing at home to Bristol City 3-1. 65 minutes, it's Luton Town 1, Millwall 0. 68 minutes, Rotherham United 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Wycombe Wanderers 1, Reading 0. That's the way it is in the Championship. Don't forget that earlier today, Leeds United vanquished Southampton 3-0. Southampton with Ralph Hasenhüttl unable to build on that hard-earned points against Chelsea in the league at the St Mary's last time out, and losing yet again in scandalous fashion, this time to Leeds United. So let's have this Chelsea conversation, Carl. Pretty important because it has a lot to do with the way the media chooses to weave narratives. First I have to ask you, who do you think is the face of Chelsea's 2012 Champions League triumph over Bayern Munich?
Okay, I wonder why you say the way the media would decide to. When you say, who else? Didier Drogba.
Didier Drogba. That's the face. But let's look at things as it.
Is there any other argument?
There is an argument that if things are looked at the way it is supposed to be, it is supposed to actually Petr Cech, who should be the face of Chelsea's Champions League triumph. Yes, because Didier Drogba did score the all-important goal, of course, equalizing very late on after Thomas Müller had put Bayern Munich in front. But he gave away a penalty in extra time, which Petr Cech saved, and then went on to save Bastian Schweinsteiger's kick, and Ivica Olic also missed as Didier Drogba notched in the final kick. So, put at par, whose performance outweighs the other, Didier Drogba or Petr Cech?
Now, a tree does not make a forest. One person is not solely responsible, most especially in a team game like football. Now, Didier Drogba is talked about plenty due to the fact that he scored goals. He was instrumental in their campaign, getting where they, of course, winning that. But like he did mention, aside from that particular game, Petr Cech, in other games, also ensured Chelsea stayed in the game. I also tell you that the defenders they had at that point in time also ensured Chelsea stayed in the game. So, John Terry and co, it's a collective effort. But somehow, the most glamorous, the person who stands out is that person who scores goals. And that's why when awards are given most times, when we've got nominations for the best players, you always get the goal scorer. So that's why, yes, we know he contributed immensely to their success there, Petr Cech. Didier Drogba, due to his goals, will be seen, yes, as the face. That's the way he's going to be looked at. Well, he stands out.
That's the way it is. And I'm going to drag the sports diva away from duty in Rome to weigh in on this conversation. Dorcas, is it about goals over saves, or is it vice versa?
It is what we have been seeing in recent times. We have been seeing that they tend to put goals ahead of every other department in football. We've talked about this over and over again. Whenever the FIFA The Best Award comes up, whenever the Ballon d'Or award comes up, it's always goes to the goal scorers and not the other departments in football. And I think that every other department is important. It doesn't necessarily have to be the goals, but then you want to think that the goalkeeper is someone that also keeps the game alive. He is the last point of every game, and he is a person that saves and also lets in goals and tries to see if he can keep his team into the game. So for me, I think we have been so relaxed and so statistical that the goal scorer eventually is the best on the field of play, and that's how it has been for as long as I can remember, but it doesn't necessarily have to be so.
Now the young Portuguese going for the spectacular call at Bucharest.
Yeah, Yao Felix pretty much involved. We know he and Luis Suarez have formed a partnership, or rather being in front is usually, like you mentioned, either a 3-5-2 formation most times for Diego Simeone. So we get to see much of the young lad. His first season wasn't as good as we expected after he came in from Portugal. But for this season, we've seen him put up, at least contribute to Atletico Madrid and do quite well. He had an opportunity not too long ago, and like you mentioned, decided to go for the spectacular. An overhead kick, a bicycle kick, but it was way off target.
Well, way off target. Mendy not troubled at all. Off the boots of the young Portuguese João Felix. £120 million he cost Atletico Madrid. Must have quite a lot of quality to convince the usually, stingy, as many may put it, Diego Simeone. Tripped, not known for not parting with money easily.
Well, is Diego Simeone the one parting with the money? It's more of Atletico Madrid. And indeed, the purchase of João Felix signaled to the rest of the world that things were going to change for Atletico Madrid. The usual lieutenants, the likes of Diego Godin and some of all the other players all left. So we're thinking, yes, here is the announcement of a change in direction, a change in style for Atletico Madrid. But the first season was so poor. Like I mentioned earlier on, 51 goals all season. 51 goals. But it's turnaround, it's changed though. And we're beginning to see the effect of that 100 and something million that was spent on João Felix and also some of the players that were brought in. They've got 45 goals in La Liga already this season, as opposed to the 51 in the entirety of last season.
Yeah, and João Felix, lots of years under his legs. We'd expect to see him as right as Ray in the colours of Atletico Madrid or wherever he might be plying his trades in the future. Certainly possesses quite a lot of talent. But still back to the Didier Drogba versus Petr Cech conversation. And starting with you, Carl, before I head over to the Sports Diva, if it was your sole prerogative to hand out the man of the match before the game in 2012 at the Allianz Arena in Bayern Munich, where Chelsea triumphed to win the Champions League for the first and only time in their history, who would you give the gong to?
Well, as of course, being based on who we be and who we are, we usually, we don't take a look at it as fans. We usually take a look at it as work and effort. For work and effort, I definitely might give it to Petr Cech. Yeah, but for the entirety of that campaign, of course, Didier Drogba will stand out.
All right, and to you, Sports Diva, who would you hand out the gong to?
Okay, first off, let's put this in perspective. Yes, Petr Cech was really great in the final. It was great all through, and eventually Chelsea eventually lifted their first Champions League title at the expense of Bayern Munich. But Didier Drogba was the man that made sure that they got the goals that got them all through. Not just him, but himself and Petr Cech got them through to the final, and eventually they lifted the title. So it is going to be very tight. But I do think that in a final like that against Bayern Munich, I'll simply have to give it to Petr Cech because he made sure that you made mention of lots of names in the Bayern Munich team, and you are sure that it is going to be very tough for the goalkeeper and also for the defenders against the Bayern Munich side, and it was on that day for Chelsea. But it was Petr Cech who made sure that it didn't get more than the one goal that eventually they had. So I think Petr Cech will have to take the gong for me ahead of Didier Drogba. But our decision right now wouldn't change anything. It is Didier Drogba in the eyes of the press.
All right, but the point man and the Sports Diva, playing allegiance this time around to Petr Cech in this conversation. And so we're asking you already, Chelsea fans and football fans alike, if a statue was supposed to be constructed at Stamford Bridge for the man who was the catalyst for the Champions League triumph that night in Munich versus Bayern, would it be Drogba who scored the equalizer and also tucked away the important penalty, last kick to hand Chelsea the trophy? Or would you give it to Petr Cech, who saved the penalty that Didier Drogba conceded for Chelsea in the extra time of that encounter and made multiple saves in the shootout to hand Chelsea the Champions League trophy. You can text us on WhatsApp on 0809 0306416. Just as it is, getting quite feisty in Bucharest, Carl.
Yeah, for Atletico Madrid, Marcos Llorente has just picked up a yellow card. And the reason he's picked up that yellow card was that he stopped a counter-attacking movement from Chelsea. Timo Werner with an opportunity to break away, and Llorente, who was beaten, now decides to stick out an arm and hold him. He gets only a yellow because at least there were other players around. If not, it would have been a red card for Marcos Llorente. So basically, he's taking one for his team, though, because, of course, he gets that yellow card there for stopping Timo Werner.
Well, Marcos Llorente had a good time against another English side, Liverpool. Has contributed a couple of goals as they knocked out the champions as of the time. Hasn't found any joy so far against Chelsea as far as goal scoring is concerned. And let's interact with you a little bit now on WhatsApp. Let's have a look at the messages that you've left us. This one says, my name is Kachi from Meneka. I beg, make Chelsea win. My heart they pound like saying a pounded yam. Okay. That says, good evening, Sports Gang. Chelsea to lose 2-0. Michael with no joy texting from Uniport. Okay, after winning, there are lots of things working for you. The winning experience, fear from other teams, etc. So I think it's easier to defend than to win. Okay, Michael going on to state his reasons for saying that it is easier to defend the title than to actually win it in the first instance. So it says, good evening, Sports Gang. My name is Better from Obakiri. Chelsea would beat Atletico Madrid tonight with 2 goals. Says it's 2-0. And you're asking now, please, is Diego Costa still in Atletico? Nope. Diego Costa had his contract terminated by mutual consent a couple of months ago. We're looking forward to a move for the Spaniard, but hasn't quite happened. Says Atletico Madrid will beat Chelsea 2-0. King Cherry from Rumodara. Says, good evening, Chelsea. Good evening, Chelsea are losing tonight from Chungwa. Chungwa is texting. So it says, good evening, Sports Gang. I think Chelsea, my beloved team, has been quite indecisive in the final third. Possession without penetration is equivalent to beautiful nonsense. If they fail to register a goal tonight, they will be very disappointed. I will be very disappointed in them. We are Chelsea. Let's go 100%. Goodie bag from Uniport. Good evening, guys. Please, I am watching the Chelsea match from my phone. Please, can anyone tell Tuchel to stop playing the 3-4-3 formation? It's leaving our creative players out of the squad. No creativity, that's why the match is boring. And Kovacic has been awful in this game, and Mendy almost gave me a heart attack in the opening stages of the game when he almost lost out on the pass from Aspi. But thank God Atleti couldn't capitalize. Maxing from Obogora. Is Maxing being fair on Mateo Kovacic so far, Pat?
Well, for Kovacic, one of the best improved players, for last season. And also this season, he hasn't really played badly. It's either perhaps Jorginho, perhaps not there. You say Jorginho, Kante shuffled, but Kovacic contributing. He's a hard worker. You're not going to take it away from him. So, in my opinion, he's a good he's a good player, and he does well. If you say if our contributor has been fair on him, I'll say no. It's actually putting a shift this particular evening, Kovacic.
Mateo Kovacic, the Croatian, signed from Real Madrid on permanent basis under Maurizio Sarri for about £35 million. Has fairly been a mainstay in the Chelsea squad ever since. In midfield this evening, partnership with Italian Jorginho. And preferred, of course, to N'Golo Conte, who finds his place on the bench, but could come on in the later stages of the second half.
Now, just also to take what the contributor said initially, he says for Tuchel, playing a 3-man defense and playing the wing-backs is stifling the team of creativity. I take a look at some of the players who are not featuring, maybe because of this. You do not have the likes of Pulisic. He's also one of those who've been frozen out since Tuchel came on board. Now, if you perhaps were not playing those wing backs, because in my opinion, when you're playing the wing backs, it's the equivalent of actually playing, I usually think, 5 defenders. That's the way I look at it. Although you'll say one of the wing backs today is Callum Hudson-Odoi. But if perhaps the formation was not what it was, you will not have Marcos Alonso, in my opinion, who also is a defensive player or a defender. I know he's great going up front. Maybe I might agree with the contributor. The formation stifles the team of some creativity. So you got the likes of Alonso, Kovacic, Jorginho, Hudson-Odoi. You know, up front, all you got is basically Werner, Mount, and Giroud. If you didn't play this formation, there would have been an extra space for a player, perhaps like Pulisic.
No. That's it. And interesting. Just reports in just moments. Would have been nice, but seems like it's not going to be Carl. And we'll get to that in just a moment as we shift away to the Stadio Olimpico. How is it shaping up, Dorcas?
It is, we have seen lots of action down there in Rome, where we have seen some substitution, not just two, but we have seen a couple of them from Lazio, where Patrick, the defender, was taken. It's a like-for-like substitution, by the way, for Lazio, was taken out for Wesley Hudet, and Lucas Levi was taken off for Gonzalo Escalante in that particular one. And also, it was Joaquin Cora who was yellow carded for a foul he committed on Boateng, the Bayern Munich defender. And for Bayern Munich as well, they made a substitution earlier where Leon Goretzka was taken out for Javi Martinez, who is now in the game. And later on, we saw Adam Marusic yellow carded. He was shown a yellow card for foul on Kingsley Coman. So lots of action, and we have seen the confidence build gradually going forward for this Lazio side. And defensively, they have held their own, but so far they haven't considered, and it is 4-1 and still in favor of Bayern Munich.
Well, Carl, the German referee Felix Birch has been kept busy for the last couple of seconds in Bucharest.
Yeah, he has, and we've had a goal scored in that game between Atletico Madrid and Chelsea. There was a goal scored by Olivier Giroud, a spectacular goal. That's what I mean, a spectacular. Unlike Giroud, it was an overhead kick. But we've been waiting for clarity for some few minutes now. If the goal will stand. It seems Olivier Giroud was in an offside position after the goal was scored. One of the assistant referees actually had his flag raised for offside. The video assistant referee still checking this one, and it's taking quite a while. So it means it must be quite close. From where I saw it initially, I think Olivier Giroud was actually offside. But we'll wait for clarity and hear what's been said from the video assistant referee.
Well, kept busy. The man at the centre, spectacular. Ball into the back of the net. That's the best way to describe it, isn't it? Because it's left for the man at the centre to decide. It's taken quite some time, as Carlos pointed out. One wonders if what the delay is all about is perhaps the ball got a little nick of the Athletic defender in the box, which would have played Olivier Giroud onside. But all of that will be resolved in a short time.
Yeah, it's been some minutes now. It's that long, so that means they're having a hard decision, making up their mind on what it actually is. We'll wait to see what exactly happens, but we'll wait to see if eventually it will be given or if it's not given. And from all indications, it's actually been given. It's actually been given, and we'll still wait to see for replays. But the video assistant referee has decided that it's a goal and no offside for Chelsea. So Olivier Giroud there. Yeah, I think Olivier Giroud there with a spectacular goal. One hit definitely for the archives. Not something you usually see Olivier Giroud go for. An overhead kick for Olivier Giroud in that particular one there.
Well, the man is an enigma of sorts. So Olivier Giroud, the 34-year-old Frenchman. Let's play him and he scores, that's for sure. And he's on hand with his 35th goal overall in the Champions League. A fabulous overhead kick. And yet again, he's doing it in the Champions League against the Spanish opposition, having scored 4 times against Sevilla in the group stages. Yeah,
it's a television goal, the way we like to describe it locally here in Nigeria. Is that what kind of a goal you put on a montage? It was a beautiful goal, like I said, an overhead kick from Olivier Giroud. But I've seen the replays, and I'm thinking he was offside.
He was offside.
I'm thinking he was offside. I think the initial call by the assistant referee, was the right call. So I wonder how VAR actually overturned that one. Anyways, I'm sure there will be, of course, clips on the internet at the moment, so folks could actually go back and watch that one. My own decision there, I think it was offside.
Well, congratulations are well in order for the Blue Faithfuls. It's Chelsea 1, Atletico Madrid 0, 72 minutes, just about 18 minutes left to play till the full 90. Changes the entire complexion of things, as it were. But, we'll shuffle back to Bucharest in a moment, but first we have to branch over at the Stadio Olimpico with the sports diva to keep us up to date with the proceedings in that match venue.
Lazio are still trying to press, are still trying to unsettle the defense of Bayern Munich, who I think haven't been unsettled for quite a while with Sula, Boateng, Alaba and Davis. They have been putting all the hard work, and also Mananoia have been quite sturdy in the goalpost for Bayern Munich. Lazio so far are still pressing, are still trying to hold on to the ball, get it across, amongst themselves on the field. But it is still Bayern. When they have the ball, they are precise, they are decisive, they know exactly what they want to do with the ball. But I don't think that is the gameplay from Lazio. They hold the ball, they get the ball across as fast as possible to the attackers and try to unsettle the defenders, but it hasn't worked so far. And I still do think that Bayern have already carried away with all 3 points in this game, but so far it's 6-4-1, still in favor of Bayern Munich against Lazio.
Well, we hear whispers of changing personnel at Bucharest. Shortly, Carl will be bringing us up to speed with that, as Chelsea are currently enjoying a 1-goal lead away to Atletico Madrid, courtesy of Olivier Giroud. Spectacular. He will certainly, Carl, be looking at his television after the game, certainly, for the next couple of days at least.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, what we'll describe it here is a television goal. Meanwhile, some substitutions for, of course, Thomas Tuchel there. We had Mason Mount and Kovacic. They've exited the pitch. In their place, we've had Hakim Ziyech and N'Golo Kante join the fray for Chelsea.
Well, Hakim Ziyech, N'Golo Kante coming in, Mason Mount going off. For Kovacic, going up against Conte, you could say it's like-for-like change. But Hakim Ziyech certainly brings a different dimension to what Mason Mount offers on the pitch.
Now, that's a player who is interesting, and that's the player who supposedly was supposed to help Chelsea unlock the defences. And in the first few games he played for Chelsea, we saw plenty of that. Unfortunately for the young man, he's actually injury-prone, or he's been picking up injuries ever since he came to Chelsea. Mason Mount, yes, that's a lively player. That's a creator for Chelsea. But Hakim Ziyech is a different perspective. So we wait to see what he adds as he's been introduced in this game.
Well, we'll see what Hakim Ziyech, the Moroccan, brings onto the pitch. Chelsea's number 22 joining the foray alongside Chelsea's number 7, N'Golo Kante. Off goes Mason Mount and, of course, Croatian Mateo Kovacic. Chelsea leading by a 1-0. Lazio still trailing Bayern Munich by 3, losing 4 goals to 1. But criticize Chelsea all you want about the shuffling, constant change of the managerial personnel, but it often really works for them. I very much doubt if Frank Lampard's shaky Chelsea could have held their own against Atletico Madrid, but Thomas Tuchel have this team playing in a beautiful way.
Well, yeah, they've enjoyed the possession, like we've said, but maybe Diego Simeone has decided that I don't want to take chances in this UEFA Champions League game, and that's why maybe his team hadn't seen plenty of possession. Like I say, it's a different Atletico we've been seeing in La Liga. Now, who's to say if perhaps Lampard had his team here, it might have been different from what we're seeing at the moment. I'm thinking, yes, we would have had more of those attacking players featuring. It definitely would, I don't think, would have been a 3-5-2 formation for Frank Lampard. Well, we'll never know. We'll never be able to tell. Ask the Chelsea fans, they will tell you, no, perhaps it might be different on the Frank. For every coach to be a bit different, but I don't know if it would have been better if it was Frank Lampard in charge of Chelsea for this particular game against Atletico Madrid tonight.
Well, yet another question for you Chelsea faithfuls. Do you think if Frank had remained in charge of your darling club, that they would have such a performance against Atletico Madrid? You can hit us up on WhatsApp 0809-0306-416. Remember, this is just one of the many questions that we are asking. There is also the Didier Drogba versus Peter Cech for man of the match in the Champions League final on the cards as well. Drogba got the winning goal and also got the equalizer to take matters into extra time. But there again was Peter Cech to save a penalty considered by Didier Drogba in extra time and saving 2 spot kicks to ensure that Chelsea emerged triumphant when Didier Drogba tucked away the last kick. So if you were saddled with the responsibility of building a statue at Stamford Bridge in honor of the catalyst for the Champions League triumph, whose statue would you build? Is it that of Didier Drogba or Petr Cech? 0809 030 6416. That's the way it is going, as Chelsea are still looking confident and attacking in phases against Atletico Madrid. Let's head over to WhatsApp to converse even more with you. It says, I am totally impressed with Bayern, knowing fully well that we don't have an attacking bench. Scoring 3 away from home, that's totally over for Lazio. Klee from PH. Yes, Klee is an ardent Bundesliga fan. Say what you may about Bayern Munich hemorrhaging the other clubs in the league, he will have none of it, and says it is not as bad as people term it to be. And this one says, from Godswill says, good evening, sports gang. In the past few games, Chelsea have not been direct. If the coach wants to win, he should go for more attacking players. I see it funny when they play defensive side with players who can break defenses with skills and crosses on the bench. I mean Pulisic, Ziyech and Ben Chilwell on the bench is quite funny. So says Godswill. This one says, good day guys, I'm Success from D-Line. Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea is a goalless draw. That prediction can no longer happen. Chelsea have taken the lead, courtesy of Olivier Giroud with a spectacular effort. I will give it to Drogba. This is from David Kangewa. Just as we see, Luis Suarez never stays off the headlines or the camera for long. This time it's an issue between himself and a certain German defender.
Yeah, Antonio Rudiger, he's having issues with Luis Suarez. In my opinion, Antonio Rudiger is the aggressor here. Luis Suarez did all he could to actually shield the ball and guide the ball out of play. But Rudiger is not happy with the way the Uruguayan did so and tried to make it quite clear to the Uruguayan. Put his hand actually on Luis Suarez, and Suarez did all he could to maintain his cool, because if he had retaliated, he would have been the one sent off. But the referee lets them both off with a warning and no cards issued there.
Well, Rudiger, best beware. Just be watchful of the canine. Might come to play. It has on a couple of occasions involving that man, Luis Suarez. It's just a substitution further for Thomas Tuchel, Carl.
Yeah, there's going to be a change for Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel has actually looked things through and exercising his right to change things or turn things around. Callum Hudson-Odoi, the man we talked about who had that disappointing outing, of course, at the weekend where he was embarrassed, was on second half, taken off in the 15th minute. He's been taken off this time, and the manager acknowledges him. That's the thing, the manager acknowledges him. He comes off playing that right wing back position, and in his place we've got Reece James. He's taken to the field for Chelsea.
Well, Reece James joining the foray in Bucharest. It's just about 10 minutes left in that game. Over to Dorcas Koki at the Stadio Olimpico. It's certainly the Lazio goalkeeper who will be needing a long hard rest after this game, Dorcas.
Definitely, we'll talk about that shortly. But one of our listeners made mention of a depleted bench of Bayern Munich. Well, actually, it is very depleted. They only have 6 players on the bench at 9th, and it went to match, and they don't have exactly much options up front. Yes, there is a Choupo-Moting still there somewhere, and he hasn't been changed or replaced by anyone. Hasn't changed by anyone just thus far. But it was Luka Hernandez who was taken, who was brought into the game at the expense of Kingsley Coman, who I thought had been fabulous for this side for Bayern Munich, and for the Lazio team, who I would tell you their bench is beyond imaginable. They have every player that is needed to be there. But just a couple of minutes ago, we saw Felipe, we saw Danilo Cataldi brought in for that man himself, Milinkovic-Savic. He has been taken off, and Cataldi now in the game. But just a few minutes ago, we saw Pereira making one funny mistake. He was trying to put the ball out of his 18-yard box, and the ball went off and got to a Bayern Munich player. That is Robert Lewandowski. He got the ball and he used his left foot on the ball, shoot a shot, and still was Pereira who eventually saved that one again and tried as much as possible to keep the scoreline decent as it is, 4-1 in favor of Barcelona.
Well,
Bayern Munich,
in favor of Bayern Munich, who of course vanquished Barcelona 8-0 in an unforgettable tie in the Champions League last season. Barca still reeling from it, of course.
Of course, it should be.
Yeah. And Diego Simeone has had cause to summon some players from his bench, Carl, to see if they could make something of the next 8 minutes to the 90.
Yeah, he's made some few changes, and we've seen Angel Correa. Angel Correa has left the fray, and in his place, Musa Dembele has taken to the pitch there for Atletico Madrid. So that's one of the substitutions made by, of course, Diego Simeone.
Well, it's Renan Lodieu who's joined the foray, the Brazilian, 22 years of age, coming on for his 16th appearance in the Champions League, as well as that man Musa Dembele, who's coming to the side, 24 years of age, Frenchman, and the 12th of July 1996, that's when he was born. Has scored 11 times in the Champions League, making his 41st appearance. Man City fans would remember him from last season, starring for Lyon. Fits the billing as far as the characteristics of the kind of strikers that Diego Simeone likes. Energetic, quite physical, pacey. Let's see how he fares against Chelsea in the last 7 minutes, which is what's left of normal time. And Dorcas, any change in scoreline perhaps over there at Lazio?
Nothing different yet. It is still Bayern, still Preston. It's still 4-1 in favor of the Bayern Munich side. But everything has been playing so far in favor of Bayern, the Bavarians from Germany. And they have scored 4 goals to that of Lazio's 1. Goal attempts, they have 12. And imagine the Lazio side have goal attempts of 14, total attempts of 14. Though you want to say that on target they have 5 and off target they have 6. And Bayern has 2 off target and 7 on target. That is quite perfect if you ask me. And then when you talk about possession wise, it is a little bit close in the second half this time. Bayern leads 54 to 46% to that of Lazio. Passing accuracy, it's still 87 to 83 for Bayern Munich. And it is the fact that in the second half, Lazio has grown defensively. They have been able to recover balls as fast as possible. They have 45 ball recovered and 37 to that of Bayern Munich. But you want to argue that they haven't been, troubling the defense of Bayern Munich thus far. So I think Bayern Munich have been a really, really good side tonight against Lazio. And we didn't get to see Ciro Immobile in this game, but we're going to see more from Cora. That is Joaquin Cora in this particular game. He has been one of the best players for me, as well as Luis Alberto. They have been trying all that they can to make sure that they can get the results for Lazio, but it hasn't worked because it has been a perfect side by Bayern Munich, who came tonight to the Stadio Olimpico to play against Lazio. So thus far, it has been a great Bayern Munich to watch.
Well, Joaquim Correa danced his way through to score the solitary goal for Lazio. A fine goal, I have to say, but thoroughly eclipsed by the 4 that the visitors have got on the night. As we head over to Bucharest, yet another substitution for Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, and we've seen Mario Hermoso, he's gone off, and in his place Vitolo has come in. Earlier on, João Felix was taken off, and Lucas Torreira replaced the young Portuguese.
Well, it's a defensive player taking off for Vitolo to come and attack. Of course, quite understandable. As it's Atletico Madrid chasing the game. Chelsea leading by 1-0, 85 minutes. Let's have a look at the messages that you have left us on WhatsApp. This one says, for me, I'll give it to Petter. Speaking about Czech, the entire Bayern was an enemy to the goalie. Jafet is your name. Thank you very much, Jafet. This one says, I think Petr Cech was the hero that night because of the number of saves he made was far beyond anyone's imagination. Yes, I think you recall correctly. Fantastic on the night. Good evening. I'm not watching the match, but the updates is making my heart pound. But Chelsea for the win. I think Atletico Madrid counters are worrying. Chelsea have 4 minutes of normal time to see out this scoreline, which would be a gigantic fit for them. And then we'll, of course, have to talk about not playing at the Wanda Metropolitano, perhaps for the home side away from home, and how it may have affected this. And a certain American has waltzed into the pitch of play.
Yeah, we talked about him, and that's, of course, Pulisic, who hasn't seen plenty of game time ever since Thomas Tuchel took over. Pulisic, he's been brought in, and in his place, Werner has gone off. Before that, Olivier Giroud was also taken up as the goal scorer, and in his place, Kai Havertz has taken to the field for Chelsea.
Kai Havertz, as a manager who speaks German these days, in case that was the problem for him at Chelsea. Has a couple of minutes to stamp his authority on proceedings in Bucharest. Oh, Didier Giroud, the Frenchman. Lovely goal. Back to WhatsApp. So it says, good evening, guys. Please, Carl, come again with the explanation. At what point is a red card given when a foul is committed during a counter-attack? Sometimes you see yellow. What does the rule say? Regarding the last man explanation you were trying to give out.
Yeah, you just said it. That's it. The last man. If you have someone headed for a goal, and that's should I say, sorry, you have the defender. He's the last man. He's beaten, and he scores, and that's I beg your pardon. That if you have a player headed for goal, and he's stopped by whoever is the last man, it's going to be a red card offense, because if he's beaten, he has a clear opportunity and clear-sighted goal. But when you have others defenders, so it's not guaranteed. If I beat this defender, there's another defender to beat, but I'm brought down when I beat the first defender. Now that defender could just get a yellow card.
Yeah.
So in that situation there, he was not the last person. That's for Marcos Llorente. He wasn't the last man there when he brought down Timo Werner. So that's why he gets just a yellow card.
Well, a tutorial in the last man phenomena as far as red cards and yellows are concerned, right there for you from Carl. Staying with WhatsApp, this one says, good evening, guys. Kinsley from Iwofe. Bayern seem to play very well in the Champions League than in the domestic league. Chelsea will lose by a goal to nil. Chelsea should also get ready because Man United is going to beat them on Sunday. You people are not talking about the Super Falcons friendly match. They won by 9 goals to nil. Congratulations. Yes, congratulations to Randy Waldrum. It's 3 out of 3 at the Turkish Women's Cup. 9-0 they beat Equatorial Guinea, thoroughly punishing the side. As for Chelsea losing a goal to nil, that's not going to happen. Chelsea out leading by a goal to nil. Good evening, Sports Gang. A lot of football fans believe Atletico Madrid was going to make a main set meet of Chelsea, but midway into the second half, Chelsea is still waxing strong. Even if Chelsea loses to Atletico, I'm proud of them because they are giving good account of themselves. CC from away. Thank you guys for wishing my club well. You people that are putting a smile on our faces here in Aba. Michael Adiela is texting. Thank you very much, Mike. This one is blaming Atletico Madrid for a 10-man defense, lining all the players back, and says Christensen has been at his best. He is really playing like Thiago. As it stands, Alonso is too slow and weak, and we are not getting the balls that favor him. A beautiful from Meneka. And speaking of which, Chelsea haven't really missed Thiago Silva, you have to say.
They haven't. Christensen has done well this particular evening. There were question marks concerning Christensen at a certain point in time. It goes to show you that when you've got time and you play some certain games, you begin to pick up confidence. As if you're a good player, you begin to pick up confidence. He's done well this evening. He has. Christensen playing alongside Rudiger and captain Cesar Azpilicueta.
Well, speaking about missing players, over to you, Dorcas, at the Stadio Olimpico. How much do Lazio miss Ciro Immobile?
Missing, he's in the field of play. He hasn't been fantastic on the night for the Lazio side. But before I continue in that, it is Bayern Munich who have made a couple of more changes for the game, and we have seen Choupo-Moting coming in for Musiala, who's the second goal scorer for Bayern Munich on the 9th, and later it was Liverani taken out for Buena Sarr. He comes in as well. So for me, I don't think that for the fact that Ciro Immobile didn't score goals is the fact that the team itself, the Lazio team themselves, haven't been top-notch, hasn't been quite great this season. Though, yes, they are coming back from a win in the Serie A, 1-0 as it is. But playing against a huge opponent, a big opponent like Bayern Munich, is always going to be very, very difficult because defensively you have to be astute at the midfield as well, and going forward you have to be precise. And Ciro Immobile hasn't been precise in this game. He has been, caged by the defenders, and we haven't seen much from him. But if not for Correa, who has been able to do 1 or 2 things in front of goal, I don't think that there would have been more options for Lazio. The team itself hasn't been great tonight, and we have seen also that Ciro Immobile cannot be the savior every now and then for this Lazio side, especially not against Bayern Munich.
Well, I insist, Lazio are missing him 90 minutes in, haven't had a whiff. Doesn't really happen for him when German sides are concerned. Had a couple of years in the wilderness at Borussia Dortmund, rediscovered himself at his home country, Italy. And yet again, against German opponents, Bayern Munich, He seems lost, very much so, as they are losing by 4-1. And Dorcas, the 90 is done. How much has been added? How much of it has been played?
Plus 4 minutes, and we have seen the first minute play, and now we have to go. We are heading to the second of the 4 minutes added. Bayern still pressing. Bayern still strong. Jajama mentioned still trying to pass the ball through and trying to see if they can score one more before the final whistle is blown by the referee. But Lazio are trying to make sure that the scoreline remains the same, giving themselves hope that maybe in the second leg something might change. You might get to see the Roma miracle or the Rome miracle, whichever it is that we saw Roma do against against Barcelona some years back. I don't think it's going to be the same. It is still Nicolas Sula trying to get the ball to the attackers and try to see if they can get one more goal. But Lazio are saying no, the scoreline has to be 4-1 tonight.
Well, over to you, Carl. What's the duration at Bucharest?
Yeah, we already had the 90 minutes of regulation time done. We were given 6 minutes of extra time, of which 3 minutes have already been played. And of course, still Atletico Madrid 0, Chelsea 1, and Atletico doing all they can to basically move forward. Being tenacious as ever, Tomas Lemar has actually picked up a yellow card for his efforts in trying to press for his team to, of course, cancel Chelsea's advantage.
Well, yeah, there's 2 minutes is a lot of time in footballing terms, and of course there is yet another leg of this tie to take place at Stamford Bridge. But this is a huge statement, you have to say, from Chelsea. Beating Atletico Madrid is not a stroll in the park.
Definitely. There's going to be all the talk about Atletico not playing at home, but Diego Simeone, prior to the game, he had actually said there are some certain things you can't control. This is the world we live in now. So he's been realistic, this is the world we live in. The fact that you've got to play outside your own country, not enjoy your own home advantage, supposedly, as it is. So yes, it's a big game. This one's a big one, a big victory for Thomas Tuchel. This was supposed to be his real test. Some believe that he has not actually, had any serious tests since moving to England. So he's come through this one, and if he ends like this in a few minutes' time, well, he's actually passed with some, not flying colours, but he's actually passed this one.
Yes, Chelsea fans will certainly see him in a much higher light if the game ends this way. As I said before, Atletico Madrid, one of the sides nobody wants to draw as far as the Champions League is concerned. The Blues did draw them, and away at Bucharest they are winning by 1-0. A huge statement, if you ask me. And how has N'Golo Kante fared since replacing Matej Kovacic?
You see the quality, and you say, well, perhaps if he had been on the pitch a little bit earlier, if perhaps things would have been a bit different. But that's the thing, you never can tell until you see it happen. So he's been a good addition to it. He's defended. He's actually initiated attacks. He's done quite well since he came on.
Well, over to the Stadio Olimpico, we hear that Easter has come quite early for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, quite early for Bayern Munich, and it is full time. The referee decided to end the game. 4-1 in favor of Bayern Munich. Robert Lewandowski getting the first goal for Bayern Munich. Musiala eventually scored the second. He is Bayern's youngest so far, 17 years and counting, to get a goal in the UEFA Champions League and also in the European scene as well. And then Leroy Sané added the third for Bayern Munich in the 42nd minute, and then it was an own goal from Acerbi, who eventually helped Bayern to 4-1 win over Lazio. And the goal scorer for Lazio is Correa in the 49th minute. It is Simeone Inzaghi who isn't happy at this point in time how they lost really badly to Bayern Munich, but Hansi Flick should be very excited on the beautiful display that his boys have put out against Lazio tonight.
Well, this game approaching its death at Bucharest, and Carl, has it indeed happened?
Well, nothing has happened. We've not seen anything happen. They've tried, they've huffed, they've puffed, they've tried their best. Atletico Madrid, but they've not been able to get anything there. It's basically ended there in Bucharest, and Diego Simeone is an unhappy man, but he will take it as it is. They've still got all to play when they play the second leg, and they'll be looking forward to that one there. But with Atletico Madrid, anything is possible. Don't write them off at this stage. There's still plenty for Chelsea to do when they go home to entertain Atletico Madrid. I'm looking forward to that second leg, and I'm thinking it's going to be more exciting than this first leg, because for Atletico Madrid, they'll have no other option than to come all out and play their best football.
Well, it's full time in Bucharest. Yes, it was a sturdy game. A quiet finesse at times, but it was hard in all. In the end, it was the Chelsea archer, Olivier Giroud, who hit the bullseye in the second half to give the Blues an all-important away victory. Yes, it's Chelsea beating Atletico Madrid by 1-0. And we will be back with all the analysis and interaction with you in just a moment.